Okay, so things are about to get worse for American comics. Let me be very clear about this. Okay, rumor. DC Comics 5G will give established characters new identities via crisis level event. Now, what is this? This is basically them doing a radical thing to shift sales back up because comic sales are down. They're down big time. I've done a couple videos on this, basically explaining that manga is coming in and pretty much just taking over. It's really funny to me also that things like My Hero Academia, which is basically in a lot of ways X-Men, but with a Japanese flair on it, does very well, especially here in America, which tells me that people still want superheroes. They just want better superheroes, and they're not getting it from the big two. Now, they do a lot of stupid things. A lot of the problems with the big two is the trash that infects the companies. You have really just trash tier people making and writing the stories over there. Look no further than Zoe Quinn, who was brought right in to write for every single major publisher. They do this out of spite. Oh, who those boas on the internet, they don't like that Zoe Quinn. So let's go ahead and let's just let her write everything. She has no comic book experience. None. But they say, hey, come on in, Zoe. You can write whatever you want. You like the Addams Family? Boom, you're writing the book. A few other political people that they've brought in to write books. Not so much the artists. It seems you do need to have some talent to draw in some cases. Because there's some people that can't even trace pictures off the internet very well. But we won't get into that. Basically, American comics are a complete dumpster fire. That's because it doesn't really matter about what kind of talent you have. It matters on what kind of political background you have, and do you line up with certain checkboxes, and so on and so on. This is the problem with American comics as a whole. You do have some good books that creep in once in a while. Jonathan Hickman's current X-Men run is a great example of what comics could be, but unfortunately, for every Hickman book, you have about 45 Zoe Quinn books, and that's kind of the problem in a nutshell. So basically, what they want to do is a gimmick. Now, Marvel did this with all new Marvel, which is a recent thing, and let me show you. So this is all new, all different Marvel, and you can see here the changes. So this is when Marvel really went off the rails. They put in a bunch of characters that people didn't like, made a lot of really quick changes. You can see you got female Thor, you got Falcon as Captain America, Spider-Woman, 3 different Spider-Mens, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and then Peter Parker. Vision, Miss Marvel, who nobody likes, this dude, I don't even know who this Indian guy is, Ant-Man, Black Panther, and so on and so on. Old Man Steve Rogers. They made a lot of changes. Now, one thing that's missing here, this isn't too up-to-date because Iron Man ended up being replaced as well. They have him front and center here. He was gone in no time. They replaced him with, what's her name? I can't even remember her name. Ironheart, Riri Williams. So she's a very terrible character that I could do a whole video on. If you want to know about her, I'm sure you can find the information out there. It's there. She's a teenage little black girl. They replaced her. They replaced Iron Man with her. It was really funny. You'd go pick up an Iron Man comic. Boom! It was Riri Williams instead, and sales went into the toilet real fast. So it was a gimmick to try to boost their sales up. It didn't work. None of the NPCs came out to buy all these checkbox books. They did praise them, though. They praised them on Twitter. And let me be crystal clear. The changes that I'm talking about, that's not all of them. They did radical changes. Wolverine became a woman, and so on and so on. Captain Marvel became, hand quotes, the most popular character in the universe. I could go on all day about how stupid it was. You had Spider-Woman here running around pregnant, fighting crime. It was really bad and cringy. So now Dan Didio, who heads up the DC Comics line, is like, yeah, let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and make them changes. And now, apparently, the trio are going to be replaced. That is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Now, I don't know if everyone else is going to be. The speculation here seems to say that all of the major heroes are going to be replaced with younger ones. Now, you can rest assured that these replacements will make sure to hit several check boxes. Don't be surprised if Jonathan Kent comes out as a dude who likes guys, because this is how they roll now. This is why American comics are kind of in the toilet, because everything must be infused in some kind of identity politic or checkbox. So let's just revamp the entire DC Comics line that way. I'm sure something that hasn't worked once yet will work this time. Let's get into what they report. Bounded Into Comics did a nice job of rounding up everything, so let's get into why this is probably true. So a couple other outlets have covered this, number one, and that always is kind of a sign. We go down here, this is the big one. Rumor, Black Batman coming to DC Comics in 2020. A previous rumor surfaced earlier this year, reported by Bleeding Cool, which I want to say, Bleeding Cool, as much as a trash website as that is, a lot of people are afraid of that troll, that ogre troll, Rich Johnston, who's a fake journalist. But for some reason, they'll give him info, and when they get rumors, a lot of the times, they do end up coming true. And this is the big one. It was the first sign of this initiative. It held that Bruce Wayne would be replaced as Batman by a POC. The most likely suspect was Black Lightning because of his partnership with the Dark Knight and the Outsiders. Now it's said by Bleeding Cool, Luke Fox, son of longtime Wayne compatriot Lucius Fox, will receive the honor after Bruce is presumed dead yet again. And they say that because he's literally died 2 times already in the past 8 years. He's been taken out. But hey, he's going to come back again. It's another plot point, because they gave it to Jim Gordon before. The best time they did it was when Dick Grayson was Batman for a minute. That was a great run, by the way. It was Damian as Robin, and you had Dick Grayson as Batman. That was a really, really good story, by the way. Luke Fox is better known as Batwing. He took over for David Zimbe as Batwing number 19 in 2013. That's been a big rumor for a while. They've been pushing for why can't Batman be a POC for quite some time. So, of course, that's going to probably happen. They've been pushing for this for a long time. Don't be surprised if it happens. It's just a gimmick, and it's dumb. If anybody should be the next Batman, it should, of course, be one of the Robins. But hey, that wouldn't be good enough. We have to make things more checkbox friendly. And then the rest would be Clark Kent's son, Jonathan. The current Superboy, and Cassie, Wonder Girl, becomes basically Superman and Wonder Woman, respectively. And keep in mind, I guarantee you, they'll hit some kind of check boxes. Don't be surprised when the new younger Flash and Jonathan Kent get caught making out in the college locker rooms. It's probably going to happen for sure. There's no way they'll just do a straight-up replacement of the heroes. This is a chance to make the Twitter Puritans happy, and Reset Era and several other crazy websites that do not support comics. If anything, they steal them. I've seen time and time again for all these people. Like, I remember last year there was one that was going on this big rant and posting stuff, and then he somehow accidentally posted all of his pirated comics. And it's like, you've been stealing comics, but you demand change. And these are the people that they're listening to. Not people with big, long boxes all over the place. No, it's the crazy people. So when is all this going to happen? Well, here it is. So Dan Didio declares Wonder Woman is DC Comics' first superhero in their new timeline at NYCC. So usually at these big Comic-Cons, they reveal stuff. DC is on this big thing to change up their continuity, which I liked, making things a little bit more cohesive and easier to understand. However, this isn't the way to do it. So here's what's going to happen. 5G represents the 5th generation of the new DC timeline. Dan Didio unveiled DC's planned new timeline that restructures their universe with a new originating point at New York Comic-Con. Wonder Woman's arrival in America marks the dawn of heroes and sparks the formation of the Justice Society. Her ties to ancient Greece canonize her as the world's first superhero. Superman doesn't come around to Generation 2, the space age, officially. Generation 3, which includes Crisis on Infinite Earths and everything until Flashpoint. Generation 4 includes everything after the New 52. And then Ethan Van Sciver speculated DC Comics will be sold to AT&T to please hedge fund investor. Dan Didio said at NYCC he wants to make DC continuity less complicated And the mistake of the New 52 and reboots in general is they fail to understand which stories matter and how these characters connect. The co-publisher added, he doesn't know what the future holds, but there is a high level of planning. This change to the DC Universe continuity comes after Didio lamented that older Fac-Smile issues sell better than a lot of their new comics. And that's true, because people like the older stuff that wasn't infused with all of this garbage by all these horrible, horrible writers who don't know what they're doing because they have no experience. Now, you get some that come in and they're new. Brian Edward Hill is a good example. He's pretty new to the comic industry, but he's been doing a great job. But for every Brian Hill, there's like 30 Zoe Quinns. And that's the problem. That's the problem. All the big names, they go and do their own stuff now. They go doing independent works and make tons of money. Jonathan Hickman was doing his own stuff. I'm guessing that Marvel gave him a boatload of money to come back to do X-Men. That's my guess, and he's been doing a great job. They didn't want to spend the money. Instead, they'll get cheap political pundits like Zoe Quinn to come in and write books for nothing and hope maybe they can get these Twitter people to go buy the books, which they don't. They don't seem to realize that Twitter likes don't get dollars. That's kind of the problem with these companies. However, this is a big gimmick, and I know it's a rumor, but the way that's been building up and how everyone's reporting on it, I think that's true. I think they are going to do these changes, and when they make these changes, you better believe those check boxes, they're all going to get hit. We got to get all those check boxes hit because they're terribly afraid of making these people upset. So DC Comics, I don't think, can take another hit. I don't think the comic industry can take any more hits because comic shops are closing left and right. Once the direct market goes under, I don't know what they do because they won't be able to do the predatory practices anymore. That's how Marvel keeps having these huge high issues, is they do predatory practices. Oh, you want these variants? Well, you got to buy 300 issues of this one book. Then you might get that one variant that's worth $150. There's a lot of weird things they do. Plus, they do a lot of number ones. That's a big thing. So every time you have a number one, comic shops will go and they'll order 100,000 issues total of this one number one. And then, they do it again 5 months later. Look at Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. Both of those characters respectively have been rebooted like 12 times a piece in the past 10 years. And it's not going to stop. It'll keep going. And these things are what's putting comic book shops out of business. I don't expect the direct market to last as is beyond another 5 years. I think some of it will still be there, but it's really only a matter of time until Diamond, which is what both companies use to distribute their books exclusively, which is another problem in itself, go under. And then you're going to have shipping costs go up for a lot of these small businesses, and I think you're going to see big problems. So the clock is ticking on American comics. I don't know how much longer they're going to last. And once the movies get washed up, that's kind of going to be it for them. So we'll see what happens. But either way, it's not looking good. Anyway, like, subscribe, leave me your thoughts, share the video, make sure you're still subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.